Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to yet another episode of Faith Matters. Now, if you've been following this relatively new program that we call Faith Matters, whichever guest came in, whatever subject we spoke about, we always ended up on one thing, and that is that we as Muslims require a balance. Now, when I say balance, I don't mean between religiosity and irreligiosity. What I mean is, while we are striving to become good Muslims, we also strive to become good citizens of the country, productive to our community, productive to society. Now, we kept coming back to that point with every guest on every show. But a couple of questions really bothered me. I went home and I started contemplating, right, so what is it that you could do to bring that balance? Well, one thing's for sure, to be a productive citizen to your country, to be productive to your community, there's one thing you need, and that is education, a sound education. And another thing that really bothered me is, well, what about the women then? Because we men, we go out to work. I mean, I'm talking about a traditional Muslim family. We go out to work with generally the breadwinners of a family. We mingle with society, we integrate with people, we talk to them. But what about the women folk? How can they become productive with their communities while also not compromising on their faith and also being, good Muslims? So, to bring some perspective to these questions that have bothered us, we decided, right, let's talk to an educationist who happens to be a female. And for that matter, we've welcomed on this show, we've invited Sister Rukshana Hassen, who's an educationist, a well-known woman in society, a product of Methodist College. Now I can keep going on her credentials, but I don't want to waste time. I let her speak for itself. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is indeed an honor to be here. Jazakallah khair for the invite. And I'm really impressed, or rather, I really thought about so much about being a part of this show. And what really captured my interest and attention is the fact that faith does matter.
Absolutely.
And you have the intention behind this show and the efforts by you and your team, alhamdulillah, has been wonderful in creating this awareness that is really important to our society, men and women. And yes, the English-speaking community. So, alhamdulillah, and I really hope this brings out the barakah and the benefits that you're really aspiring to.
Inshallah, and I'm into your dua. I mean, that's lovely to hear good feedback from something so new. Right, sister, let's get straight to the point now. Like I said, I don't want to dwell on the credentials or the list of things that you have done from the time you were at school to what you have become now. By the way, Sister Rukshana is a principal of Iman Schools now. I'm sure you must have heard of that school name. Coming from a Muslim background, obviously we are all Muslims, and from your family, from the time you were in school up to what you have achieved now, there's been a long journey. You've done a graduation, you've undergraduate, postgraduate, and now I see that you're studying for masters. How has the journey been? Take us through from your school days up until now. Have you faced any obstacles? Have you had any challenges that you've found difficult to overcome? Take us through your journey.
Well, yes, it has been an interesting ride, the journey that I'm really proud of, and I am grateful to my Creator for blessing me with. Yes, I am a product of Methodist College, and proudly so, because I received a lot of opportunity there and a lot of guidance. And within a faith-based community of people. So this fascinated me because I used to walk in and out of the church, and I used to kneel down there in pews and for prayer. And as being a Muslim, I used that time to connect with my Creator. Right. At the same time, I was fascinated by the fact that the school unit as a whole had so much faith in whatever that they did, and the Christian community was really guiding us as well in the way that you educate and in the way that you create your value system, you harness them, and how you apply that to your life. So as a kid, I grew up with such opportunities, and I always thought that as Muslims, I'd like to show the beauty of our religion as well.
Right.
So through education, it is the best platform to do that. And as a kid, I was rebellious. I always wanted to learn things differently. I wanted to do things differently. Everything was a question to me because rote learning was not my forte.
Define rote learning for me, please.
Rote learning would be to do with a lot of with a fixed curriculum, and it would be to conform to a particular curriculum, to a particular
method of
quantity.
teaching per se?
Yes, quantity. The pedagogy itself is different, and it's large scale. So I wanted a more one-to-one interaction, because I had a lot of questions that were different. And to do this, it was not really conducive because of the environment or the system itself. So for me, I thrived on drama and movement.
Right.
So I used to learn better through those forms or that medium. So the classroom sessions were not sufficient for me to be able to do so much, or rather the yardstick of results or the examination results wasn't really enough to define who I was.
It doesn't reflect your true personality. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a believer of that, to be
Yes.
honest. Yes.
So that was my childhood. So I thought I needed to probably I could do things differently to kids. So then I wanted to go ahead and pursue my career in teaching.
Right.
So as Muslim women, yes, one of the priorities in life is to get married or to find a man and start building your nest. And since the attention was so much there, my ability to further in my career and education was paused, I would say.
Right.
So yes, because as Muslim women, men in our lives play a huge role.
Absolutely.
Our father, then our husband, so our brothers.
Right.
So when it comes to that, it's not like you need to
Give up on your dreams, compromise on what you want to achieve.
No, you don't need to do that. As long as you believe in what you really want to do, and sometimes you need to be a lot patient. So yes, I think one of the main things that as women we need to do is to patiently persevere and not give up, and carry on with what you really want to do, as long as you believe in who you are, and not ever give up in what you can do.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, I'm assuming you must be having a lot of support from your husband from the time you got married to achieve what you have achieved now. Was there any situation where from your family or from your in-laws you've had to sort of make decisions whether, okay, am I really going to go ahead with this and pursue and really go out and achieve what I want to, or do I compromise and say, listen, let me put all of this back, let me focus on me and my family alone? Have you ever had to even go through that sort of a thought process?
No, that's because before I got married, I made sure my husband lets me study.
Right.
That's
So you were conditions, right?
Yeah, he was kind enough to not be insulted by the fact that that was my priority.
Right.
But alhamdulillah, yes, the support that I've had from my in-laws as well as my husband, yes, it matters a lot for you to do what you need to do. But they've been an inspiration as well from my father-in-law and so on. So the most important thing is that there will be challenges, whether it be through people who are loved ones, or even outside, who you've never even met. There are challenges that we have to overcome. And yes, you will wet your pillow at night, but at the end of the day, you know what you stand for. And the best part of you is that Allah has designed you to be who you are, the ingredients that have been put into, and He's the one who fashioned you. So if the best thing you could do to show gratitude is to be you.
Absolutely.
So to do that, even when in your relationships with husband, children, in-laws, or the wider community, it will show, because what you believe in is necessary for home. It starts from home, so and then carries out there.
Great. Husbands maybe take cue from probably what Rukshana's husband has done there, allowed her to do what she wanted as a condition before getting married. You are the principal of Iman Schools now, which we understand does things a bit differently. Take me through what sort of, what kind of practices you guys have over there, how are kids treated differently than they would be treated in a normal school per se?
Yes, so Brother Samir, what's important is when it comes to education, there are two things that mostly people talk about. One is the institution and one is the curriculum. But something that they don't talk about is the pedagogy.
Right.
Pedagogy is the way you deliver the curriculum, or in which institution you do that.
Right.
The approach to learning, the approach to education.
Right.
So I've always been someone that needed meaning, like I said, to everything, or purpose.
Right.
So I feel that kids need that to learn. So when you love learning, it's easy to teach. So first, then go and bombard them with the content. You need to just cultivate a lot of necessary skills to make them love learning. So that's the main thing that we are striving to do.
Right.
So yes, we are an alternative to what is there right now. When you say alternative, what we mean is instead of large scale, it is a smaller scale. It's called a human scale because everybody knows everybody. And when you know everybody, you can be there for everybody. You can be that scaffolding that's necessary as a small community. So it's not numbers, it's the quality of interaction and how much goodness you can do to each other.
Right.
Secondly, we have something called non-hierarchical.
Okay.
So, which means that decision making is not just to the principal or only the management.
Top level management.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
yeah.
Students get involved. Teachers have to get involved.
Okay.
What do you like to learn next?
Oh, okay.
So we pose these questions so that it is something that you own and you do,
Right.
without having to be told what to do.
Wow, okay. So not so much instruction based, but more
Yes.
inclusive, I suppose.
That's right. Yes.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Speaking of different learning methods, I'm sure you must have faced some opposition. Someone must have come and told you that, listen, what you're doing is not right. Have you had to?
Plenty, because when you're different, it's not easy.
Absolutely.
But you know, they say that what you don't know won't hurt. But I'd like to mention that what you don't know also will not benefit. Because if you do get to know what's out there, because the world has changed, and we need to not conform to the same old methodologies,
Yes.
simply because learners are also different. The generations are different. So we need to think of what they like, how they like to learn it, or how you need to teach it. So the 21st century learning skills are not just there for us to get to know, but we need to know if we can give it to our kids in that way, deliver it so that, again, these days we need peace.
Right.
We
Very
need,
much.
we need a lot of peace and goodness. So I don't know, just the yardstick of results is not going to bring you that. You know, the other day we had this futsal tournament,
Right.
and for grades 1, 2, and 3. So there were about 10 practices. So we had this 9 practices, and before we had the 10th practice, I just had a chat with the kids. We do this reflections. Like I said, we need input from them. So I said, wait a second, I'm not sure if I'm okay to go ahead with this tournament. And they're like, Muallima, what happened? And I said, no, it's just that the main reason I wanted to have this tournament is to build character and, you know, to see not just about the fact that you can dribble the ball or do the tackles or score goals, but whether you're there for each other. So I'm wondering if I really should go ahead with this. What do you think? They took a few moments to think about it. And then they said, look, Muallima, I think we know what you're talking about. We will cooperate with Muallimas better. We will show you that we will be there for each other, Muallima. All you need to do is just believe that we can do it. So again, walk in a line, everybody stand there, do this. We don't need to keep telling them that as long as you give them meaning. So that's what happened. The next day or the last practice or at the tournament itself, you saw them standing by each other,
Right.
and standing for each other, and then celebrating each other's successes and being there for their failures.
Amazing.
So it's a reflection, self-reflection, and they themselves have self-assessed themselves.
Right.
And then, isn't Islam also about self-direction? Allah has already told us what is necessary, what is not, what you should, what you shouldn't. And then He gives you the entire the journey, the life on earth.
That's amazing. Because I mean, that futsal tournament you spoke about really struck me, because it's not so much about who's better than whom. It's more about, let's stand up for each other, and that's a large part of our religion, that being there for each other, which is what I started off with. Remember when I said that you need to be productive and there for your society and community. Last couple of questions. I want to digress from the education fact. Let's go back to femininity, right?
Okay.
We're in a time in the world where a lot of talk is being, a lot of things have been spoken about. Equal opportunity for women, equal responsibility, equality, justice for women, and I'm all for it. And wherever there's women who are being abused for just being women, I'm all for it. Keeping all that aside, let me ask you simply, let me just simplify this. What does the word feminist mean to you? I know you weren't ready for this, but let me put it to you anyway.
Well, I think like I said, I am just proud to be a woman, and I'm not the type who would say I'm better and you're not.
Right.
But I really feel that the way that we are created, we're supposed to be there for each other.
Right.
And that's how Islam has also taught us our roles and the way that we were created. So there is really no question, no doubt about such superiority or inferiority, because Islam does not put women down. It actually saves women. It gives us the freedom to be who we are, just the way we are created. As long as we take that opportunity, we grow our self-esteem, and we be who we are supposed to be, no matter where in the world or what role you're playing. Because I know that as families, there is a set mechanism or set formula that we all expect to happen. So it's even when it comes to children, they'd prefer their mothers staying home, cradling them, feeding them, and being there, right? So that's very natural tendency or need. But what we need to understand is we're all created for that and so much more.
Right.
And how we balance it and how we get that support from our family and friends is very, very necessary to be who we are. So there is no necessity for a debate or a necessity to even question that, because there is no...
like you said, I'm better than you sort of ideology. There is nothing else like that.
There is nothing like that, because without a man there can't be... I mean...
Let me put it in simple words for you. We are not here to compete against each other as genders. We are here to complement each other. Is that the right way of putting it?
We are our outer garments. We are who we are. We know our weaknesses. We know our strengths. Okay,
Right.
and we can make a huge difference if we work together.
Amazing. Right. Teamwork, which is sure something that they teach in school. Okay, last thing before we wrap up. Your message to young girls and boys out there, especially girls, what do you want to tell them? This is your opportunity.
I think I have a message for boys.
Wow, okay, that's interesting. We brought you here because you're a female educationist, but she wants to talk to the boys. Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'd like to tell you about a story, a little thing that happened a few weeks ago. I walked into a class and because I know there is this kid or couple of kids in that class who feel that women shouldn't be anywhere else except home, or rather their own mothers, or and it's a mixed gender, a third grade class. So
you get boys saying that in the 21st century? I'm surprised.
No, they like the comfort, they
Right.
like the pampering that they get, right?
Right.
So I walk in and I look at the teacher and I said, I call out to the teacher and I said, you are doing an amazing job. And if you are not here doing what you are doing right now for these kids, I don't know what will happen. It's so amazing how you transform them. So I'm going on at this teacher about what she's doing. And the rest of them are now just jaw open and they're looking at me. And so I finished praising this teacher and telling that I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing, even though you could be home helping in this way and that way and so on and so forth. But because you're here, you're making that difference. So these boys there, they get together and they nudge this teacher and say, Malama, say Jazakallah khair, she's talking so much about you. And these are the boys that prefer this way. So what I'm trying to say is, opportunity will come. Keep seeking for it, because Allah has always told us, seek and you will find, seek and I will give you. But you need to keep seeking, and you need to keep believing in who you are just the way He has created you. And that belief is enough, inshallah, that Iman that you have inside you of your self-worth, of your self-potential, your capacity to give out there, which is why you have been created, the purpose of your creation. Worship me, and Allah says, so worship me and I will do good to others. So if that is well ingrained within you, I think there's a lot as women and as men we can do for this community, to the humankind, actually. Inshallah.
That's a beautiful message to end off with. So, I mean, just to summarize, if at all, if you are a girl having doubts, questions, young women, what am I going to do? How am I going to pursue my dreams? My parents are asking me to get married. Sister Rukshana here is a perfect example. You can achieve your dreams, you can pursue your goals without having to compromise your faith. And this lady right here is a perfect example. Thank you so much, sister, for talking to us. It's been a lovely conversation.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah.
There you go. That's another episode wrapped up on Faith Matters. I really enjoyed this. Until we see you again on another one, it's the Islamic greeting. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.